You must begin by accepting a truth so bold, so absolute, that it stirs the very core of your being. The $50 million, 0 cents, is already yours. Not in some distant future, not in some elusive reality, but now, right here, right now. The world you see is not a cause, it is an effect. And if you continue to respond to appearances, you will remain bound to them. But if you dare to ignore what seems to be and claim what is already yours in the unseen, then your world must bend to your inner command. The secret lies in the unseen act of assumption. You do not wait for the evidence to appear. You create the evidence by living from the state of the wish fulfilled. Act as if. Think from it, not of it. Feel the texture of the wealth. Walk with the poise of someone who knows they are abundantly provided for. Speak not as a beggar hoping for fortune, but as one who distributes wealth because you know the source within you can never run dry. Close your eyes and imagine it real, not as a fleeting dream, but as your present condition. Smell the newness of your surroundings. Hear the sounds of success echo in your daily life. See your bank statement, not as you hope it might be, but as it already is, overflowing. Let the feeling of richness flood your senses. This is not play. This is creation. You must withdraw attention from the lack. Ignore the bank balance that screams limitation. Ignore the whispers of doubt that come dressed as logic. All these are merely shadows of past belief. You are not here to reflect the world, you are here to reshape it. Your inner speech, your inner reactions, your daily posture, these are your tools. And when used faithfully, they bring to pass what once seemed impossible. Every time you catch yourself reaching or yearning, remind yourself, I already have it. The $50 million, 0 cents is mine. I am not hoping to receive it. I am expressing it. I am aligned with the vibration of wealth. The world must echo my inner claim, for it has no power of its own. It only mirrors me. Live as if the money has already been deposited. Make decisions from abundance, not fear. Dress, walk, and speak from the wealth that now lives within you. Let others call it delusion. It does not matter, for you have entered a new state, and all things must conform to the state in which you dwell. Feel it so naturally that the world has no choice but to rearrange itself in obedience to your conviction. To live from the end is to occupy a state of mind so fully that it becomes your reality even before the world reflects it back to you. It is not a matter of pretending or playing make-believe. It is an inner conviction, a deep knowing that what you have imagined is already yours. When you act from the end, you no longer look at your desire as something to be attained. You claim it as already fulfilled. You no longer try to get rich. You recognize and accept that you are rich. You walk in the vibration of that wealth, and it becomes the very ground you stand upon. This is not about waiting for the world to give you permission. It is about stepping into the role you have already chosen for yourself. If you desire $50 million, 0 cents, then you must begin now to think as someone who possesses it. You must begin to feel the ease, the joy, the generosity, and the certainty of one who knows that this wealth is secure. There is no reaching, there is no struggling. There is only resting in the truth that what you imagine with feeling is more real than what your eyes can see. When you live from the end, you are no longer hoping, wishing, or waiting. Hope always places the fulfillment in the future. But this teaching is about the present. It demands that you bring the future into the now, not by force, but by assumption. Assumption is the act of faith. It is the creative power itself. To assume you have something is to give it life, to breathe spirit into the unseen, and to know that what you birth in consciousness must come forth in the physical realm. Think of the version of yourself who already has $50 million, 0 cents. What does that person think about on a daily basis? What do they worry about? Or better yet, what do they no longer worry about? How do they walk into a room? What decisions do they make differently? Begin to study that version of yourself, not as an ideal to be admired from afar, but as your true identity, because it is. The moment you adopt the feeling of being that person, the outer world must begin to mirror that identity back to you. Living from the end requires boldness. It requires you to ignore the voices around you that speak limitation and impossibility. The world will always show you what you used to believe, but you are not bound to your past beliefs. You are free in every moment to assume a new state. The old man dies and the new man rises when you decide to dwell in a higher state of being. You are never asked to make the $50 million 0 cents happen. You are only asked to believe that it is already yours, and then to move in the world as though it is so. This kind of living is not passive. It is intensely active, but not in the way the world defines action. The true work is internal. The true action is imagination, feeling, belief, and assumption. Outward activity will follow naturally from this inner transformation. But if you begin with outer effort, without inner alignment, you only reinforce the idea that you are without. That is why living from the end is so powerful. It reverses the order, says, I have it now, I am it now, and because I am, I see. You must learn to feel it real. Sit quietly and see yourself in the circumstances that reflect your desire fulfilled. Let it be so vivid that it stirs emotion within you. See the numbers on the account. Feel the weight of financial security. Sense the calm and confidence that comes with knowing you are free. Stay there in your mind. Stay there in your body. That is your new home. Don't visit it as a guest. Reside there. Awakening from the end means you no longer ask for proof. You no longer seek validation in the outer world. The only proof you need is the feeling within you. That feeling is the evidence of things not seen. That feeling is the seed, and when nourished with attention and belief, it grows into form. But if you dig up the seed every day to check its progress, you interfere with its growth. So you must remain faithful to the end you have claimed. Even when the world shows you contradiction, you stay rooted in the truth you've accepted. It is done. This way of life transforms not only your finances, but your entire sense of self. You realize that you are not the effect of life, but the cause. You are not a victim of circumstances. You are the master of them. And your mastery begins the moment you choose to dwell in the end instead of the process. Don't get caught up in the how. The how is none of your business. The state of being is your business. The how will be revealed through inspiration, coincidence, and the natural unfolding of events. But it all begins with your inner stance. So if you truly desire that $50 million 0 cents, claim it now, not with desperation, but with calm certainty. Claim it not as something you need, but as something you already have. Let every choice, every word, every thought be filtered through the lens of one who possesses it. That is the meaning of living from the end. That is how the unseen, that is how you step into the version of you who no longer desires, but expresses, no longer begs, but gives, no longer waits, but knows. Imagination is the creative force behind everything you experience. It is not a fleeting daydream or a whimsical escape from reality. It is reality's foundation. Everything that exists began first in the unseen realm of imagination. The chair you sit on, the clothes you wear, the money in the bank, all of it originated as thought, as idea, as image. The world you see is merely the outpicturing of imagination that has been sustained and believed in. Once you understand this, you stop chasing the external and begin cultivating the internal. The $50 million 0 cents you desire is not something to go out and find. It is something to bring forth from within. Imagination creates reality because consciousness is the only creative power. You are not just imagining for entertainment. You are creating when you imagine with feeling. That inner act done in silence and stillness has more power than any outward action could ever have. This is not metaphor. This is literal truth. Imagination is the workshop of the infinite. When you imagine an outcome and believe in its reality, you plant a seed in the fabric of existence. That seed, once planted, grows according to its kind. Huh? The secret is to imagine the desired outcome as though it were happening now. Not later, not someday, now. Because when you imagine it as future, you keep it out of reach. But when you bring it into the present, when you close your eyes and feel the reality of already being the person who has $50 million, 0 cents, you fuse the imagined with the real, and the outer world must eventually reflect that fusion. Many people believe imagination is child's play. They dismiss it as fantasy. But what they fail to see is that everything they now take for granted, every object, invention, structure, or event, was once someone's fantasy. The moment it was accepted and emotionally felt as real, it began to take shape. The mind doesn't differentiate between what is real and what is vividly imagined. That's why a fearful thought can bring anxiety, and a joyful image can make you smile. Imagination impresses itself upon your subconscious, and the subconscious is the bridge between the formless and the formed. The mistake most people make is using imagination to rehearse what they don't want. They imagine debt. They imagine lack. They imagine being denied, rejected, or left out. They replay worst-case scenarios. And then they wonder why these patterns keep showing up in their lives. The truth is, they are always creating, but not consciously. You don't stop creating when you stop visualizing what you want. You just start creating more of what you fear. To reclaim your power, you must take responsibility for your imagination. The most powerful use of imagination is to dwell in the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Let's say you desire $50 million, 0 cents. Close your eyes and picture it. But don't just see the money. See yourself living as the one who has it. How does your day unfold? What conversations are you having? What new possibilities have opened up? Let the image expand. Feel your body relax in the assurance that all is well. You're not hoping anymore, you are living it internally. This inner atmosphere becomes magnetic. It becomes a mold, a blueprint, and your outer world conforms to it. The inner world governs the outer. What you imagine and feel becomes more real than what you see with the eyes, because what you see is only the residue of past beliefs. If you want to change what you see, you must go to the source. And the source is your imagination, imbued with feeling. Feeling is the secret ingredient. It's not enough to casually see an image. You must feel it to be true. When the feeling matches the image, the impression is made. When the impression is made, the result is certain. Your outer circumstances may seem unchanged at first. That is not the time to doubt. That is the time to persist. The seed is already planted. The roots are growing beneath the surface. Don't dig it up with fear or second guessing. Stay faithful to the vision. When you're tempted to look at your current bank account and feel discouraged, return to the image in your mind. See it again. Feel it again. That is your truth, not the temporary conditions around you. Imagination is your access point to infinite supply. There is no limit to what you can create because you are not creating from effort. You are creating from being. You are not depending on the world to deliver your good. You are impressing upon the world the version of you that already has it. This reversal of cause and effect is the doorway to transformation. You don't wait for the money to feel abundant. You feel abundant to receive the money. You don't wait for success to feel confident. You feel confident and success follows. The mind, when disciplined, becomes a sacred space. It becomes the engine of miracles. And the more you use your imagination consciously, the more your outer world begins to soften and bend in response. Opportunities appear, synchronicities unfold, people show up, the bridge of incidents begins to form. But all of it originates from the stillness of inner vision. You don't chase the result. You align with the cause, and the cause is always your own imagination. Every great change begins within. Every fortune starts as a feeling. You may not know exactly how the $50 million 0 cents will come, and that doesn't matter. The how belongs to a greater intelligence. Your only task is to dwell in the end, feel the reality of it. Let it become your dominant vibration. Let it color your mood, your walk, your tone, your expectations. Live as if it were impossible to fail. Live as if it were already yours. Because in imagination, it is. And once it is real in imagination, it is only a matter of time before it hardens into fact. This is not superstition, this is law. This is creation. This is your power. Use it wisely. Use it daily. Use it with love. Acting as if is not pretense. It is not a game of faking something to impress others or to deceive yourself into a temporary illusion. It is the sacred act of embodying the reality of what you desire before it shows up. It is walking in the vibration of fulfillment while the evidence is still invisible. When you act as if the $50 million 0 cents is already yours, you are not lying to yourself. You are aligning with a deeper truth. A truth that is not dependent on appearances. You are accepting the unseen as seen. You are saying with your entire being, this is who I am now. This way of living is subtle but profound. It requires a shift in awareness. Instead of reacting to what the world is showing you, you respond from the state you have chosen. You begin to carry yourself as the one who already has. Your thoughts take on the flavor of ownership. Your decisions reflect your new identity. There is no more asking if it's coming or when it will arrive. It is already done in consciousness, and that is enough. The outer will catch up, for it has no choice. When you act as if, you tap into the feeling of certainty. This is more than hope. Hope still suggests distance between you and your desire. Certainty, on the other hand, dissolves that gap. You are not reaching, you are not waiting, you are living from the end. You begin to feel wealthy, not just in your bank account, but in your soul. You feel expanded, generous, safe. You don't make choices from fear or limitation. You move in confidence, not arrogance. You trust your inner knowing, not the outer conditions. There is something magnetic about a person who walks in quiet confidence. They are not shouting about what they have, they are being it. And that being draws life toward them. Acting as if is not performance, it is inner permission. It is giving yourself the right to live as the person you choose to be, rather than the person your past has conditioned you to believe you are. It is a powerful break from identity built on limitation. You begin to identify not with lack, but with fullness. Acting as if does not mean reckless spending or pretending you have something you don't. It means embodying the feeling of already having it. There's a world of difference between trying to appear rich and feeling the richness within. The one is shallow and rooted in ego. The other is deep and rooted in truth. When you feel wealthy inside, your posture changes. Your voice softens. Your eyes brighten. You become less desperate, more open. You start blessing others, not just asking for blessings. That is the posture of someone who already has. The person who acts as if $50 million 0 cents is already theirs doesn't wait for proof. They make decisions from abundance. They are not frantic, they are not grasping, they do not shrink themselves. They no longer say, I can't afford it, with the spirit of limitation. They begin to speak from the place of creative possibility. How would the version of me with $50 million 0 cents handle this? That becomes the guiding question. And that question opens doors. This way of being does not come from willpower. It comes from assumption. Once you assume the state of the one who has what they desire, your body and mind begin to adapt. Habits shift. Self-picture transforms. Even your energy becomes contagious. People begin to treat you differently because the vibration you carry speaks louder than words. You are no longer seeking approval, you have found self-approval, and that creates ripple effects in your reality. You must be bold enough to live from this inner reality even when the outer contradicts it. That is where most people turn back. They begin to imagine, to act as if, but when the world does not immediately mirror it, they doubt. They return to their old state and call it being realistic. But you are not here to bow to the visible, you are here to give form to the invisible. Acting as if is a sacred rebellion against the tyranny of facts. It is claiming the truth of the unseen as more powerful than what is presently seen. Faith is action, not just belief but embodiment. You don't wait to feel worthy until the money arrives. You feel worthy and the money is drawn to that frequency. You don't wait to feel joy until the manifestation comes. You live in joy and that joy reshapes the world around you. Acting as if is living in the vibration of the end result before it appears and thereby causing it to appear. The world is your mirror, not your master. As you persist in this state, you find that your circumstances begin to shift, not because you forced them, but because you align with something higher. You no longer think like someone who lacks, you think like someone who owns. You speak like someone who trusts. You walk like someone who already knows the outcome. This energy is irresistible to life itself. Resources come, opportunities open, connections appear, not by chasing them, but by being the one to whom they naturally flow. When you act as if you raise your point of attraction, you step into the field where all possibilities exist and choose the one you desire, not through force, but through being. It is like tuning into a frequency. The music of $50 million, 0 cents is already playing. You just need to match the station. That match is found not through striving, but through surrendering to the state of already having. When you truly act as if, you no longer ask if it will happen. You simply prepare for its arrival. And preparation is also part of acting as if. You begin to organize your life to welcome the very thing you say is yours. You manage your finances as though you are stewarding great wealth. You care for your body as though you are valuable and worthy. You treat your time as precious. You hold conversations with yourself that reflect dignity, not doubt. You do not beg the universe, you thank it. Gratitude becomes your foundation because you know the thing is already given. To act as if is to collapse time. You are bringing the future into the now. You no longer push your desires into some distant tomorrow. You pull them into today by claiming the identity that matches them. You say yes before you see, you move forward even in uncertainty, and with every small step, the reality you imagine begins to shape itself around you. What was once internal becomes external. What was once invisible becomes visible, but it was always yours. And it still is. The $50 million, 0 cents is not just a number, it is a state of consciousness. It is not about paper or digits, but about how you feel, how you think, how you perceive the world. Money follows identity, abundance follows assumption. When you act as if, you tell life exactly who you are, and life answers accordingly, always. To claim something is yours, you must move beyond the wish for it and step into the knowing that it already belongs to you. This is not the type of knowing that comes from logic or observation. It is a deeper, spiritual knowing, one rooted in inner conviction. You are not asking whether you deserve $50 million, 0 cents. You are not seeking permission from the outside world to have it. You are claiming it as a present reality, not because you see it with your eyes, but because you feel it in your soul. The greatest mistake people make is waiting for confirmation before they believe. But belief is not passive acceptance. It is an act of creation. When you say, "This is already mine," you are not predicting the future, you are creating it. You are declaring the unseen as seen, And through that declaration, you begin to shape the world around you. What you claim within will be reflected without. But the claim must be total, creator of your experience. It must not be filled with doubt, hesitation, or contradiction. You cannot say, "It is mine," while secretly hoping it will come one day. That is not claiming. It is yearning. True claiming is final, it is done. To claim your $50 million 0 cents now, you must understand that you are not waiting on life. Life is waiting on you. You are the operant power. You are the cause. The outer world is only the effect. If you believe it is the other way around, you will remain trapped in delay, waiting for signs that may never come, because you haven't taken the first step within. That first step is internal ownership. You must own the state of wealth, even in the absence of physical evidence, not just casually, but completely. You must take hold of it in your mind and refuse to let it go, even when appearances mock your belief. Do this by living from the end, not just thinking about the end, not just dreaming of the end, but placing yourself mentally, emotionally, and spiritually in the state where the money is already yours. You feel the weight of that reality. You hear the inner conversations of someone who already has it. You make decisions as though the money were in your account today. You speak to yourself not as a person in lack, but as someone who is stewarding wealth. And most importantly, you no longer ask how or when. You simply rest in the truth that it is yours. Claiming it now means you stop affirming lack. You stop rehearsing the story that says you're still waiting, still hoping, still trying. You start speaking as the one who already possesses. You say things like, "I am wealthy, I am prosperous, my wealth serves me and serves others." You do not wait to see it before you affirm it. You affirm it until you see it. Not because the words are magical, but because they shift your state. The words are not meant to convince some outside force. They're meant to anchor you in your chosen identity. When you claim something, you embody it. It becomes a part of you. You don't look outside yourself for confirmation. You don't ask others what they think. You don't keep checking the bank account to see if it's true. You already know. The knowing is the seed, and from that seed all things grow. But if you keep digging up the seed to check its progress, you will stunt its growth. You must trust the process. You must persist in the assumption. The more you claim it, the more the outer world rearranges itself to reflect what you have already accepted within. Many people think they are claiming, but they're only wishing. A wish is fragile, easily broken by disappointment. But a claim is solid. It holds steady in storms. It does not flinch when reality seems to deny it. It does not beg for validation. A true claim says, "This is mine. I don't need to prove it. I don't need to chase it. I only need to remain in the knowing of it." That is the secret. Remaining in the knowing. No matter what shows up, no matter how long it seems to take, you stand firm in your inner reality. And eventually, your outer world will follow. To live this way is to live by inner vision, not outer sight. It is to recognize that the universe does not respond to desperation or effort. It responds to alignment. When you are aligned with a version of you who has $50 million 0 cents, you begin to think, feel, and act like that person. Your vibration changes, your choices elevate, your self-concept expands. And that expansion sends a clear signal to life. This is who I am now. Life always mirrors back the identity you hold most consistently. Claiming your wealth also means letting go of the identity of struggle. You cannot be both poor and rich in your mind at the same time. You must choose. And once you choose, you must remain loyal to that choice. That means letting go of habits, thoughts, and beliefs that contradict your claim. You cannot say, "I am rich," and then complain about money. You cannot say, I have it now, and then talk about what you lack. Every time you do, you cancel the claim, you dilute the power of your assumption. You must become radically faithful to your new identity. There will be moments when doubt tries to creep in. The world may appear unchanged for a while, but that is not your concern. Your only task is to remain in the state of the wish fulfilled. You do not need to hustle or manipulate circumstances. You simply live from the knowing that what you have claimed is already yours. And because it is already yours, you do not chase it. You prepare for it. You welcome it. You celebrate it. You give thanks for it before it arrives. That is the essence of true faith. Gratitude is the language of ownership. When you are thankful for something, you affirm its presence. So begin now. Feel the gratitude of already having $50 million, 0 cents. Let that feeling flood your body. Imagine what it's like to wake up and know that every financial need is met. Imagine the freedom, the peace, the joy, not in some future moment, but now. Let that feeling be your home. Let it be your guide. And let it remind you over and over again that the claim has already been made and it cannot be revoked. When you live from this place, life becomes a reflection of your inner dominion. You are no longer a victim of circumstances. You are no longer bound by appearances. You are free to choose, free to create, free to claim what is already yours by divine right. And in that freedom, everything begins to shift, not because the world changed first, but because you did. You dared to believe, you dared to assume, and you dared to claim it now. Diana. To act as if the $50 million, 0 cents, is already yours. You must allow your thoughts, emotions, and actions to align with the reality you have accepted within. This is not a game of pretending, hoping, or trying to manipulate life into giving you something. It is a total shift in your state of being. You are not becoming someone who will have $50 million, 0 cents one day. You are becoming the person who has it now. Everything about your energy must reflect that truth. This includes how you think about yourself, how you speak to others, how you carry yourself in the world, and how you handle every situation that arises. You are no longer trying to get wealth. You are now revealing it. Every action you take must spring from this new state. The moment you declare internally, "This is mine," the outer performance of your life must begin to change. There is no more room for doubt or contradiction. You cannot affirm wealth and act in fear. You cannot speak of abundance and shrink when decisions arise. The person who already has the $50 million, 0 cents does not entertain scarcity thoughts. They do not move with hesitation. They do not make choices out of desperation. They move with assurance, with calm, with clarity. This is not arrogance, it is divine confidence. It is a state of rest in the truth that what is real within must become real without. To act as if you already have it means to live with the emotions that come from having it. Wealth is not just a number in your bank account, it is a vibration. You must generate the feeling of abundance regardless of what the outside world shows. You must feel the joy of freedom, the calm of security, the pride of accomplishment, and the peace of knowing you are supported. These feelings are not reserved for the future. They are available now. And the more you feel them, the more you reinforce the truth that the money is already yours. You are no longer reacting to appearances. You are choosing your inner atmosphere. Many misunderstand this principle. They think acting as if means spending recklessly, boasting about wealth, or trying to impress others. That is not alignment. That is ego. True alignment is silent, steady, and internal. It's not about what others see. It's about what you accept. You may still be walking in the same shoes, living in the same home, but your spirit has shifted. You are not the same person. You are no longer asking, "What if I never get it?" You are now walking with the inner declaration, "I already have it." This quiet certainty radiates from you. And because life responds to who you are, it begins to deliver more evidence of your claim. Your inner dialogue becomes crucial. Every time you think about money, you must do so from the perspective of someone who already has it. You do not say, I hope it comes, you say, it is mine. You do not worry about how it will arrive, you rest in the knowing that it already has. This mental discipline is the foundation. Without it, you will revert to old patterns of fear and doubt, but with it, you will begin to see small shifts. Subtle changes in how you feel, how others respond to you, and how opportunities present themselves. These are the early signs of manifestation. Your behavior also changes. You begin to treat yourself with more respect. You make choices that align with your new identity. You stop wasting time on what no longer serves you. You say no to situations that contradict your wealth consciousness. You start organizing your life as though you are already managing great resources. You speak differently. You carry yourself with composure. You no longer apologize for wanting more. To live in lack, you stop explaining yourself to people who live in lack. You understand that your wealth is not about ego. It is about expression, service, and truth. Even your environment begins to reflect your internal state. You care for your surroundings, you clean your space, you invest in what brings joy and beauty. You no longer tolerate disorder because it does not reflect who you are. The person who has $50 million, 0 cents, lives in order, peace, and purpose. They do not accept chaos in their mind or their home. So you start living with greater intention, not for show, but because it feels right, it matches your new vibration. Every detail of your life becomes a mirror of what you have claimed internally. People may not understand your transformation. Some may question your calm. Others may wonder why you no longer stress about money. But you don't need to explain anything. You are not proving your wealth to the world, you are living it. And in time, the outer world will catch up. But until then, you remain faithful to your chosen state. You do not compromise it for comfort. You do not abandon it when appearances contradict it. You persist, not out of force, but out of deep knowing. You understand that the outer must reflect the inner, and you choose to remain loyal to the inner first. You may be inspired to take new actions. Follow them. You may feel nudged to change direction, end relationships, or begin new projects. Honor those promptings. When you act as if it is already yours, you are not waiting for the world to move, you are moving with the world. Your intuition becomes sharper, your sense of timing improves. You begin to notice opportunities that were invisible before. Why? Because you are now tuned to a new frequency. You are not reacting to life, you are creating from it. And what you create is always a match to your identity. Never underestimate the power of subtle acts. A simple choice made in alignment can shift your entire trajectory. A decision to carry yourself with dignity. A moment of silence when others speak doubt. A private smile when you feel the truth within. These small things shape your reality. They are not meaningless, they are magnetic. You are always broadcasting who you believe yourself to be, and life listens carefully. So act with grace, with gratitude, and with absolute faith, not to convince others, but to remain true to the version of yourself who already has it all. The more you act in harmony with your claim, the less resistance you feel. You stop wondering if it's possible. You stop asking for signs. You stop questioning your worth. You begin to live naturally from your new state. It no longer feels like pretending. It feels like remembering. It feels like returning to the truth. And in that space, miracles unfold, not because you chased them, but because you aligned with them. You became the doorway through which wealth could express itself. You gave it a home in your mind, in your heart, and in your actions. And now it flows, not as something you pursued, but as something you accepted. You are not defined by what happened. You are not trapped by a chapter that felt like failure. You are the author, the dreamer, the one with the pen in hand. The moment you decide that failure is not your final chapter, you step into a higher awareness. You begin to live from the end, not the end of defeat, but the end of triumph. Imagination is the only reality. What you accept as true within yourself becomes the world outside of you. So if you persist in the feeling that failure has written your last sentence, then so it shall be. But if you rise in consciousness and act as if success, healing, and peace are already yours, the world has no choice but to conform. Do not wait for the outer world to tell you who you are. Assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Act as if you've already won. Walk as though the chains have fallen off. Speak as though the victory is already echoing in your ears. The law does not fail. What you feel to be true in your imagination with consistency and faith will harden into fact. You may have been told you're not good enough. You may have fallen, been ridiculed or forgotten. But none of that has the power to end your story unless you give it power. You are not a victim of circumstance, you are the operant power. You are the dreamer of dreams, and the moment you awaken to that truth, you begin to rewrite what the world calls failure. Live from the state of having already become. Let your inner conversations reflect your success. Let your assumptions reflect the new story. Do not seek proof, be the proof. Do not ask how, just be. You don't need permission to begin again. You only need the boldness to assume the feeling of the new scene and to live in it mentally, even when the outer world shows no signs. Everything you experience externally is only a reflection of the internal state you accept as real. If you want to see a new outcome, you must occupy a new state. If you wish to break free from the identity of failure, then do not revisit it in thought. Leave it behind like an old garment and clothe yourself in the feeling of success. Your outer world is not your judge, it is your shadow. It moves only when you move within. If you are willing to feel the new reality before it shows itself, if you are willing to walk with confidence before the applause begins, then the applause will come. It must. Because the law is sure, and the imagination is divine. You are not broken. You are not stuck. You are not finished. You are becoming. You are unfolding. The moment you act as if failure never had the final word, you speak a new word into existence. You rise into a new state, and from that state the world around you must obey. Imagination is the greatest gift you possess. It is the tool that allows you to create, to shape your future, and to transform your present reality. Most people are unaware of just how powerful their imagination is. They spend their days reacting to the circumstances around them, accepting what they see, and letting those external circumstances dictate their feelings and beliefs. However, the moment you realize that imagination is the true force behind everything you experience, you begin to understand how you can use it to transform your life. You are not a passive participant in your own life, you are the creator. Your imagination is the medium through which you can mold your experiences and influence the world around you. When you truly accept that your inner world creates your outer world, you realize that what you are experiencing right now is the result of what you have imagined and assumed to be true in the past. But the beauty of this understanding is that you are not trapped by past imaginations. You have the power to change the direction of your life in any moment by changing the images, assumptions, and beliefs you hold in your mind. Your imagination is not just a fleeting fantasy or a simple daydream. It is the very foundation of creation. Every single thing you see in the world today, every building, every invention, every relationship was once a thought in someone's mind. It began as an image, a feeling, an idea. This idea, this mental image, was then impressed upon the subconscious mind, which brought it into reality. Just like the world outside of you, your inner world, your thoughts, your beliefs, your assumptions creates the circumstances, people, and events that show up in your life. This concept is profound because it shifts the power away from external circumstances and places it firmly in your hands. If you find yourself in a situation you don't like, you don't have to rely on the outside world to change in order to feel better. You don't have to wait for others to act differently or for circumstances to line up perfectly. Instead, you can change the way you think about the situation, and through that change, you can change your experience of it. The first step in using imagination effectively is to realize that you are always imagining something. You are constantly creating mental images, whether you are consciously aware of them or not. Most people imagine negative outcomes or focus on past failures, and that is why they continue to experience similar situations over and over again. Their imagination is working against them. It's not that they are incapable of imagining success or joy. It's that they have been conditioned to focus on the negative patterns, the fears, and the limitations. To change your life, you must first change the images you hold in your mind. If you can imagine yourself succeeding, if you can imagine yourself overcoming challenges, if you can picture a life of abundance and happiness, then you are setting into motion the forces that will bring those things into your life. The more vividly and consistently you imagine these positive outcomes, the more real they become to you. Your imagination will start to feel like a tangible reality, and your subconscious mind will begin to take those images seriously. The power of imagination is not just about thinking positive thoughts. It's about feeling the reality of your desires in the present moment. It's about living in the state of having already achieved what you desire. If you can feel the emotions of success, joy, or peace while you imagine your desired outcome, you are aligning yourself with that reality. The emotional energy you generate during this imaginative process is what fuels the creation of that reality. The stronger the feeling, the quicker and more powerful the manifestation. It is important to remember that imagination does not work through force. You do not need to try to make things happen. Instead, it's about aligning yourself with the frequency of what you desire. You can imagine your success in a relaxed, joyful, and confident state, allowing the feeling of already having what you want to saturate your being. In this state of feeling, the universe begins to rearrange itself to match your inner world. Opportunities, people, and events start to appear, all designed to bring your imagined reality into the physical world. One of the key aspects of imagination is persistence. Often people will imagine a positive outcome once or twice and then give up when they don't see immediate results. This is where many people go wrong. The imagination is not something you simply use and discard. It is a tool that requires consistent application. Just as you would practice a skill or a habit, you must practice living in your imagined reality. The more you persist in imagining success, the more it will begin to feel natural to you. Your subconscious mind will begin to accept it as truth, and soon your outer world will reflect the changes you've made in your inner world. However, it's important to be patient and trust the process. Your imagination is a powerful tool, but it works in its own time. Just like planting a seed, you cannot rush the growth process. If you plant a seed in the ground, you cannot force it to grow overnight. But if you water it consistently and allow it to grow at its own pace, it will eventually sprout and flourish. Similarly, the images you plant in your mind may take time to manifest. But if you continue to nurture them with belief and patience, they will grow into your reality. Another key aspect of imagination is the understanding that what you imagine does not need to make logical sense. Many people feel limited by what they believe is possible, based on past experiences or the rules of the world. But when you embrace imagination as the creator of reality, you free yourself from those limitations. Imagination transcends logic and reason. It operates in the realm of the possible and the impossible, the known and the unknown. You can imagine yourself doing things that seem far beyond your current capabilities, and through the power of imagination, you will begin to develop the skills, confidence, and opportunities needed to bring those imagined experiences into the world. Imagination is not a passive activity. It is a dynamic, creative force that works in harmony with the subconscious mind. The more you align your conscious thoughts with the feelings and images of your desired reality, the more quickly your world will shift to reflect those desires. Your imagination has the power to reshape your circumstances, to rewrite your story, and to bring about the life you desire. All you have to do is choose to use it, to create consciously, and to believe in the power of your inner world to create the outer world. Living from the end is a concept that transcends conventional thinking and invites you to step into the fullness of who you truly are. It is not about waiting for external circumstances to change or for life to show you a new path. Rather, it is about mentally and emotionally inhabiting the end result of your desires right now. It requires you to consciously live as though the outcome you wish for has already been realized, even before it manifests in the physical world. This shift in perspective is one of the most powerful ways to create the life you desire. When you live from the end, you are no longer a passive observer of your reality. Instead, you are the creator living from the state of already having what you want. You cease to be reactive to the world around you, and instead you begin to lead with your inner vision. This is not an act of denial or wishful thinking. It is a state of alignment where you accept the desired outcome as already being true. It is about cultivating the feeling of already having your desire, not as a distant goal, but as a present reality. At its core, living from the end is about shifting your focus from the process to the finished result. Most people are accustomed to thinking in terms of I'll be happy when I get that promotion, or when I meet the right person, or when I achieve my goal. This thinking implies that happiness, success, or peace are things that exist outside of you, dependent on future circumstances. However, living from the end is an invitation to reverse this way of thinking and embrace the idea that everything you seek is already yours, if you can only imagine it. This approach begins by deciding that the end result is already a fact, and from that decision, you start to embody that reality in your thoughts, emotions, and actions. If your desire is to have financial abundance, for example, you do not wait for a certain amount of money to appear before feeling abundant. Instead, you feel abundant now, regardless of the state of your bank account. You begin to act as if you already have the wealth, comfort, and security that you desire. You think, speak, and behave in ways that reflect the state of abundance you wish to live in. The power of this process lies in your ability to convince your mind and your emotions that the desired outcome is not something that will happen in the future, but something that is happening right now. The more you can live from that state, the more your subconscious mind accepts this as truth, and it begins to guide your actions, decisions, and interactions to align with that reality. It is important to remember that the subconscious mind does not distinguish between what is real and what is imagined. When you consistently live in the state of having already achieved your goal, your subconscious mind starts to bring about circumstances and opportunities that match the state of your assumption. Living from the end requires a deep trust in the process of creation. It is about surrendering to the belief that the universe or life has already responded to your desire, even if you cannot yet see evidence of it. It asks you to be patient, persistent, and unwavering in your confidence that your mental and emotional state is already shaping your outer world. As you continue to live from the end, your external circumstances inevitably shift to reflect your inner state. This is not a matter of magic, but of the law of cause and effect, the law that dictates that what you feel and believe within will ultimately express itself outwardly. It is also important to understand that living from the end is not about forcing things to happen or taking action from a place of lack. This can often be a common misunderstanding where people think that they need to work tirelessly, push, and strive in order to manifest their desires. In reality, when you live from the end, you act from a place of inner fulfillment. Your actions are inspired, not forced. You take steps toward your goal because you feel it is natural to do so, not because you are trying to make it happen. This subtle shift in energy is crucial. It allows you to work in harmony with the flow of life rather than battling against it. The essence of living from the end is not just about thinking positively or using visualization techniques. It is about embodying the emotional experience of having your desire now. It is about feeling the joy, peace, or satisfaction of already achieving what you want. When you can generate the emotional experience of your desired outcome in your present reality, you align your frequency with that of your desire, and the universe begins to respond. Emotional energy is a powerful force. Your feelings create a magnetic pull, drawing to you the circumstances, people, and opportunities that match the vibration you are emitting. This process also involves letting go of attachment to the how and when. Too often people get caught up in trying to figure out how their desires will manifest or when they will see results. This focus on the how can create resistance and doubt, which blocks the flow of energy. Living from the end means trusting that the how will reveal itself as you continue to live in the state of your desire. The path will unfold naturally and you will be guided to the next steps. The key is to remain aligned with your end result and to trust that everything is unfolding perfectly, even if you can't yet see the full picture. An important part of living from the end is the understanding that everything is connected. Your thoughts, emotions, and actions are interwoven, and they collectively create your reality. If you can hold the mental image of your end result while feeling the emotions of success, gratitude, or satisfaction, you are strengthening your connection to that reality. You are harmonizing your inner world with the world you wish to experience. This is a powerful process because when you truly live from the end, the world around you starts to mirror the inner changes you have made. Living from the end is an act of faith. It requires you to believe in the unseen, to trust that what you are imagining and feeling is already on its way. This faith is not based on logic or evidence, but on the knowing that you are the creator of reality and that the universe is always responding to the vibrations you are sending out. It asks you to believe in the unseen, to live as though the best version of your life is already unfolding, and to be confident that your desires are already on their way to you. Living from the end is not a passive waiting game. It is an active, creative process that requires you to step fully into the reality you desire. By shifting your focus from what you don't have to what you already possess in your inner world, you begin to align yourself with the infinite possibilities that exist for you. When you live from the end, you realize that you are not waiting for life to give you something. You are actively creating your life from the inside out, and everything you desire is already yours, ready to unfold. The idea that you are the operant power is a powerful realization that places you at the center of your own experience. It means understanding that you are not simply a passive observer of life, but the very force that shapes your reality. You are not a victim of circumstance or a puppet of external conditions. You are the creator, and every aspect of your life is a reflection of the inner world you cultivate. When you accept that you are the operant power, you recognize that your thoughts, feelings, and assumptions actively influence and mold the world you experience. The concept of being the operant power is rooted in the understanding that reality is not something that happens to you, but rather something you create through your thoughts and beliefs. This means that everything in your life, whether it's your relationships, your career, your finances, or your emotional state, is a direct result of your inner world. The external world is a mirror reflecting back the beliefs, emotions, and assumptions you hold within you. When you fully accept this, you realize that your power to change your life lies not in trying to change the world around you, but in changing your inner state. The first step in becoming the operant power is to take full responsibility for your life. This means acknowledging that you are the one who has created the circumstances you find yourself in, whether those circumstances are positive or negative. It is easy to blame external factors, other people, the economy, or even fate for the way things are. But this kind of thinking keeps you stuck in a position of powerlessness. When you accept that you are the one who has shaped your reality through your beliefs, you empower yourself to change it. By recognizing that you are the operant power, you no longer need to wait for someone or something else to change before you can feel better or achieve your goals. The moment you take full responsibility for your reality, you realize that the power to change anything is already within you. This understanding shifts your mindset from being a victim of circumstance to being a master of your own fate. You stop waiting for things to happen and begin to actively create the outcomes you desire. Rather than allowing life to dictate your emotions and experiences, you decide how you want to feel and what you want to experience. Your thoughts, assumptions, and beliefs are the seeds you plant in your mind, and the harvest of those seeds is the reality you experience. Therefore, if you want to change your life, you must begin by changing the seeds you are planting in your mind. The idea that you are the operant power also means recognizing the immense influence of your subconscious mind. Your subconscious is constantly absorbing impressions from the world around you, and it takes those impressions as truth. Whatever you believe to be true, whether it is about yourself, your circumstances, or your future, becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. If you believe that success is difficult to achieve, or that you are not worthy of love, or that you will always struggle financially, your subconscious mind accepts these beliefs and works to make them your reality. On the other hand, if you choose to believe in your own worth, your ability to succeed, and the abundance of opportunities available to you, your subconscious mind will start to work in alignment with these beliefs, bringing your desires into physical form. The key to becoming the operant power is to consciously direct the focus of your thoughts and beliefs. You must decide what you want to believe about yourself and the world, and then persist in that belief, even in the face of contradictory evidence. This is where most people get stuck. They make an assumption, but when they don't see immediate results, they revert to old beliefs or give up altogether. However, to truly become the operant power, you must have unwavering faith in your ability to create. When you persist in believing what you want to believe, despite appearances or external circumstances, you are aligning your thoughts and emotions with your desired reality. Your subconscious mind takes that persistent belief and begins to work tirelessly to bring it to fruition. Being the operant power also means recognizing that everything around you is a reflection of your inner state. If you are constantly frustrated with your job, for example, or feel stuck in a relationship, it is a sign that your beliefs about work or relationships need to be addressed. You might believe that you are stuck, that there are no good opportunities, or that you don't deserve better. These beliefs, though often subconscious, are shaping the experiences you are having. To change the situation, you must first change the belief. By shifting your inner state, you change your external circumstances. This concept is not just limited to your personal life, it extends to every area of experience. If you find yourself surrounded by negative people or situations, it is because you are internally resonating with negativity. The people and circumstances in your life are simply reflecting back the energy you are emitting. To change your external world, you must first change the energy you are sending out. When you shift your internal state to one of love, gratitude, confidence, and abundance, the world around you will begin to mirror that state. The people who once brought negativity into your life will either change or they will fall away, making room for new experiences and relationships that align with your elevated state of being. Another important aspect of being the operant power is understanding that your imagination plays a crucial role in creating your reality. The images, thoughts, and mental pictures you hold in your mind are powerful forces that shape your experience. If you can imagine the life you want with the same clarity and emotional intensity as if it were already happening, you are impressing those images onto your subconscious mind. Your subconscious mind, in turn, will begin to attract the circumstances, people, and events that align with those images. This is why visualization is such a powerful tool in manifesting your desires. When you vividly imagine your desired outcome, feel the emotions associated with it, and mentally experience it as if it were happening right now, you activate the creative forces within you to bring it into physical form. As the operant power, you are also in charge of your emotional state. Your emotions are the key indicators of what you are creating. If you are feeling frustrated, fearful, or anxious, it is a sign that your thoughts and beliefs are misaligned with what you truly desire. Your emotions act as a barometer, showing you whether you are in harmony with your desires or whether you are blocking them. By choosing to focus on thoughts that make you feel good, thoughts of gratitude, joy, and love, you raise your vibration and align yourself with the energy of abundance and success. This emotional shift is what allows you to become the operant power, as it sets into motion the creative forces that will bring your desires into being. The realization that you are the operant power is both liberating and empowering. It means that you are no longer a passive participant in your life, but the active creator of your reality. Every thought, belief, and assumption you hold is shaping the world around you. When you take responsibility for your life and consciously choose the beliefs and emotions you want to experience, you activate the creative forces that will bring your desires into form. By understanding that you are the operant power, you Open yourself up to infinite possibilities and begin to experience the world in a way that is in alignment with your deepest desires. When you truly grasp the concept of acting as if failure is not your final chapter, you unlock a powerful tool for personal transformation. To act as if failure is not the end of your story is to understand that any setback, challenge, or disappointment is not an indicator of your final potential, but merely a part of the journey. This shift in mindset is transformative because it opens up new possibilities and helps you to build resilience, strength, and confidence. Failure in this context is not a permanent state, but a temporary event that does not define your life or your ability to achieve greatness. At its core, acting as if failure is not the final chapter involves redefining what failure truly is. Many people view failure as a definitive and irreversible mark against their potential, a label that they carry with them for the rest of their lives. However, this perception of failure as an endpoint creates fear and hesitation, making it harder for individuals to take risks or pursue their dreams. If failure is seen as a dead end, then taking bold actions or stepping out of one's comfort zone becomes increasingly difficult, as people subconsciously avoid situations where they might face failure. In contrast, when failure is seen for what it truly is, a stepping stone on the path to success, it becomes an integral part of growth and evolution. To act as if failure is not the final chapter, you must first shift your understanding of failure. It is not something to avoid at all costs, but something to embrace as a valuable learning experience. Every failure brings with it a lesson, an opportunity for you to refine your approach, to increase your resilience, and to better understand the path that is uniquely yours. Failure teaches you what works and what doesn't, and it shows you areas where you can grow. This mindset allows you to see failure not as an obstacle, but as a tool, one that can guide you forward rather than hold you back. When you act as if failure is not the final chapter, you do not allow temporary setbacks to define your identity. Many individuals mistakenly tie their sense of worth and self-esteem to their successes and failures. If they achieve something, they feel good about themselves. If they feel inadequate or ashamed. This mindset creates an unstable foundation for self-worth. You must understand that your value as a person is not contingent on your performance, whether you succeed or fail. Your worth is intrinsic, and it does not fluctuate with external circumstances. This realization frees you from the pressure of having to be perfect or to avoid failure at all costs. Once you detach your sense of self-worth from failure, you become more resilient. You are able to take risks, try new things, and challenge yourself without the constant fear of failure. You are more willing to put yourself out there, knowing that even if things do not go as planned, it does not diminish your value or ability. Failure no longer holds the power to stop you in your tracks, because you understand that it is just one part of a much larger story. Instead of letting failure dictate your future, you use it as an opportunity to pivot, learn, and try again. You do not let setbacks define your journey, you let them inform and refine it. Moreover, when you act as if failure is not your final chapter, you begin to cultivate an attitude of persistence. Success is rarely immediate, and those who achieve great things often do so by persevering through multiple failures and setbacks. The most successful people in history, from inventors like Thomas Edison to athletes like Michael Jordan, faced failure after failure before they succeeded. It is their ability to keep going in the face of failure that sets them apart. They act as if failure is not the end because they understand that every failure brings them closer to success. Persistence is a mindset. It is the refusal to let failure or setbacks dictate the course of your life. Instead of viewing obstacles as reasons to quit, you begin to see them as challenges to overcome, as opportunities to grow stronger. You develop the belief that no matter how many times you fall, you can rise again. This attitude of resilience is key to building long-term success. When you act as if failure is not the final chapter, you cultivate a sense of grit and determination that propels you forward, even when the road ahead seems uncertain. Furthermore, to act as if failure is not the final chapter is to embrace the unknown and trust in the process of growth. Too often people get discouraged because they cannot see the end result or predict the outcome. The unknown can feel daunting, and the fear of failure can make it even more intimidating. But when you act as if failure is not the final chapter, you release the need for certainty. You trust that the path you are on will lead you to where you need to be, even if the journey is winding and unpredictable. You understand that every step, even those that feel like failures, is leading you toward your goal. This trust in the process helps to ease anxiety and self-doubt. When you stop trying to control every detail of the outcome and instead focus on the process, you open yourself up to new possibilities and solutions that you may not have seen before. Acting as if failure is not the final chapter allows you to take each moment as it comes, without being overwhelmed by the fear of what might go wrong. You become more open to opportunities and willing to explore paths that you may have previously avoided out of fear of failure. One of the most powerful aspects of acting as if failure is not your final chapter is that it allows you to stay focused on your vision. When you are driven by a strong sense of purpose and a clear vision for your life, failures become less significant in the grand scheme of things. You see them as temporary obstacles that do not derail your ultimate mission. A clear vision helps you to stay motivated even when things get tough, because you are connected to something greater than the momentary disappointment of a setback. Your vision serves as a beacon, guiding you through the challenges you face. It reminds you that your purpose is far bigger than any failure. With a strong vision, you can keep moving forward, knowing that the obstacles you face today are part of the larger story of your success. You begin to see failure not as an end, but as a necessary part of the journey that will eventually lead you to your desired outcome. In the end, acting as if failure is not your final chapter requires a mindset shift. It requires you to redefine what failure means and to see it as a stepping stone on your path to success. It requires you to detach your self-worth from external outcomes and instead find your value in the process of becoming the person who can achieve your goals. It requires you to cultivate persistence, trust in the unknown, and stay focused on your vision. When you embrace this mindset, you stop letting failure dictate your story. Instead, use it as fuel to propel you forward, knowing that every setback is merely a temporary part of your greater journey. You learn to act as if failure is not the end, but just another chapter in your evolving story of success. When you begin to act as if failure is not the final chapter, you step into the role of an empowered creator of reality, understanding that every setback is an opportunity to evolve and refine your path. In this mindset, the story of your life is one you actively write, and you no longer wait for external circumstances to dictate your success or failure. Instead, you take control and trust in your ability to transcend challenges, knowing that even if you face failure, it is not the end but merely a part of a larger and more meaningful narrative. The power of acting as if failure is not your final chapter lies in its ability to transform the way you relate to adversity. In most cases, people view failure as a sign of inadequacy, a reflection of their inability to succeed. This often leads to a cycle of self-doubt and fear, causing many individuals to give up on their dreams prematurely. However, when you adopt the mindset that failure is not the end but a necessary part of your journey, you free yourself from the shackles of self-limiting beliefs. Instead of being paralyzed by fear of failure, you learn to approach challenges with curiosity and resilience, ready to face whatever comes your way. You begin to embrace each failure as a teacher, knowing that it is preparing you for the success that is just around the corner. This mindset shift allows you to redefine the relationship between effort and outcome. In the traditional view, people often equate effort with immediate results. If something doesn't work out as expected, they may feel that their effort was wasted or that they failed. This perspective overlooks the deeper value of persistence and patience. Success, in this view, is not a straight line but rather a winding road that requires dedication, flexibility, and adaptability. By acting as if failure is not the final chapter, you begin to see that every step along the way regardless of whether it's successful in the traditional sense or not, is a building block that contributes to the greater whole of your life. The outcome is not always as important as the person you are becoming through the process. Furthermore, when you embrace the idea that failure is not the final chapter, you let go of the need for perfection. Perfectionism often keeps people stuck in an endless loop of planning and preparation, preventing them from taking the first step or moving forward after an obstacle. The fear of failure is tied to the belief that things must go perfectly for them to be worthwhile. However, this mindset stifles growth and prevents progress. When you act as if failure is not your final chapter, you accept that imperfection is a natural part of life and that making mistakes is part of the process of becoming better. The willingness to step forward even when things may not be perfect gives you the courage to take risks and to move forward despite the uncertainty. Each small step you take, even if imperfect, brings you closer to the realization of your dreams. Another powerful aspect of this perspective is that it helps you stay emotionally balanced during difficult times. When failure is seen as the end of the story, it often triggers feelings of frustration, despair, and anxiety. People can become overwhelmed by the pressure to succeed, and when things go wrong, they may feel defeated. However, when you understand that failure is not a permanent state, you learn how to manage your emotions with grace and resilience. You recognize that negative emotions are natural and temporary, and you allow them to pass without letting them control your actions. By acknowledging that failure is a part of life and not the end of the road, you cultivate emotional resilience. This resilience becomes a foundation that helps you bounce back stronger after each setback, knowing that the next step forward is always within reach. This mindset also encourages a more compassionate relationship with yourself. When you act as if failure is not the final chapter, you learn to treat yourself with kindness and understanding during difficult times. Rather than criticizing yourself for mistakes or perceived shortcomings, you begin to view these moments as opportunities for self-growth. This compassionate self-talk allows you to recover more quickly from setbacks because you are not weighed down by guilt, shame, or self-blame. Instead of seeing yourself as a failure, you recognize that you are constantly evolving and learning, and that each experience, whether positive or negative, is helping you to become the person you are meant to be. This shift in perspective fosters greater self-acceptance and helps you to approach future challenges with a sense of hope and optimism. When you act as if failure is not the final chapter, you also begin to see opportunities where others might see obstacles. The traditional response to failure is often one of retreat or avoidance. People may give up or abandon their goals altogether. However, when you refuse to see failure as the end, you become more open to alternative solutions and creative approaches. You begin to view each challenge as an invitation to think outside the box and to innovate. This attitude not only increases your problem-solving ability, but also nurtures an entrepreneurial mindset. You understand that no obstacle is insurmountable, and that there is always a way forward, even if it requires an unconventional or unexpected approach. This mindset also encourages you to persist in the face of adversity because you are no longer attached to the outcome. When you let go of the need to control every result and instead focus on the process, you free yourself from the stress and anxiety that can come with trying to force things to happen. The pressure of needing to succeed fades, and you begin to enjoy the journey. This shift from an outcome-focused mindset to a process-focused mindset allows you to experience greater peace and satisfaction, even during challenging times. You understand that success is not a destination but a series of experiences, and the lessons you learn along the way are just as valuable as the end result. As you continue to act as if failure is not the final chapter, you also become more attuned to your intuition and inner guidance. When you release the need for perfection or immediate results, you open yourself to deeper insights and wisdom. Your connection with your inner self strengthens, and you begin to trust your instincts more. This trust in your inner guidance allows you to make decisions with greater clarity and confidence, knowing that you are always on the right path, even if it doesn't always look the way you expected it to. You become less reliant on external validation or approval, more connected to your inner truth, which becomes your guiding compass as you navigate through life's challenges. Another important aspect of this mindset is the shift it creates in how you approach your goals. When failure is seen as the final chapter, goals can feel daunting or overwhelming. The fear of not achieving them can prevent you from even trying. However, when you see failure as a natural part of the process, goals become exciting challenges to embrace rather than intimidating obstacles to avoid. You break down large, seemingly insurmountable goals into smaller, manageable steps. With each step, you celebrate your progress and recognize that every effort is a success, no matter how small. This approach helps you maintain motivation and momentum as you continue moving toward your dreams, knowing that setbacks are simply part of the process and not a reason to give up. Finally, acting as if failure is not the final chapter allows you to inspire others with your example. When you demonstrate resilience and perseverance in the face of adversity, you become a beacon of hope for those around you. Your ability to rise after each failure shows others that success is not defined by perfection or the absence of failure, but by the courage to keep going, regardless of the obstacles. You create a ripple effect of empowerment, encouraging others to embrace their own failures as opportunities for growth and transformation. In essence, acting as if failure is not your final chapter is about embracing the journey, trusting the process, and refusing to let setbacks define your path. It's about understanding that failure is not the end, but a stepping stone towards success, and that each challenge provides an opportunity to learn, grow, and evolve. By shifting your perspective on failure, you unlock your true potential and empower yourself to create the life you desire. Of all the secrets hidden in plain sight, the greatest is this: you are already the person you long to become. The world reflects not what you wish for, but what you assume to be true. Desire alone changes nothing. It is the acceptance of the desired state as your present reality that shapes the course of events. There is no separation between who you are and who you wish to be, except the illusion of time. The moment you assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled, you shift into that reality. The mind, like a sculptor, molds the unseen substance of experience. Every action, every word, every thought aligns with the assumption that you are already the person others admire, respect, and seek. To act as though you are that person is not pretending. It is the recognition of a truth that already exists in the unseen. If you desire to be confident, walk as though confidence is your natural state. If you wish to be respected, speak as though your words carry weight. If you seek success, move through the world with the knowing that success is inevitable. The outer world is only a shadow cast by the inner assumption. Doubt and hesitation are the only barriers. To entertain them is to reinforce the old self, to delay the inevitable. Assume the feeling, embody the role, and the world has no choice but to conform. Reality is fluid, shaped by the certainty of belief. The law is simple. What you persistently assume yourself to be, you become. To truly understand the power of assumption, one must grasp the idea that everything we experience in life, every circumstance, relationship, and outcome, is a reflection of our internal beliefs. The most profound truth is that what we hold as true within ourselves shapes the reality that we live. This is not merely a concept or idea, it is a law of nature. The law of assumption dictates that the moment we assume something to be true about ourselves, we begin to shape our world around that assumption. It is not enough to simply wish for something to change in our lives. We must first act as if it has already come to pass. Assuming the feeling of the wish fulfilled is the key to unlocking a new reality. This does not mean pretending or putting on a mask. Rather, it means fully embodying the essence of the person you wish to become in your thoughts, emotions, and actions. It is the act of living in the end as though the outcome you desire is already yours. When you assume that you are the person who has already achieved what you desire, your inner state begins to align with that assumption, and in turn, your outer world begins to reflect it. This concept can be best understood by considering the simple idea of a role. Imagine you are about to take on a role in a play or a movie. Before you begin, you must know your character inside and out. You must understand how they think, how they feel, and how they move through the world. If you approach this role with uncertainty or hesitation, you will never truly embody the character. However, if you step into the role with full confidence, believing that you are the character, your actions will naturally follow suit. You will begin to speak like them, act like them, and think like them, and eventually you will become that character. This is the same process when it comes to assuming the feeling of your wish fulfilled. If you desire to be a confident person, for example, you must first assume the feeling of confidence. You must step into the role of confidence, not waiting for external events to trigger it, but choosing to embody it right now. The moment you do this, your thoughts, words, and actions will align with this assumption. Confidence is no longer something you are waiting to obtain. It becomes who you are in that very moment. Living in the end means that you are no longer focused on the gap between where you are now and where you want to be. Most people live their lives with a constant focus on the gap, the feeling of lack, of not having yet achieved what they desire. They look at their current situation and think that they must first change their circumstances before they can become the person they want to be. But this approach keeps them stuck in the cycle of waiting. The secret is to stop waiting and start living as if the change has already occurred. When you assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled, you are living in the end, in the present moment, and your life begins to shift accordingly. This shift is not a mere change in mindset or perspective, it is a complete transformation of your state of being. You no longer see yourself as someone striving to achieve something, you see yourself as someone who already has it. This subtle but powerful shift in perception allows you to take inspired action, to move through the world as though you already possess what you desire. And as you do this, the external world has no choice but to mirror back to you your new assumed state. Assuming the feeling of the wish fulfilled also means that you are not dependent on external validation or circumstances to affirm your new identity. In the old way of thinking, people often look to their external circumstances as evidence that their desires are coming to fruition. They may think, when I get the promotion, I will feel successful, or when I meet the right person, I will feel loved. But this is backwards. The true power lies in assuming the feeling of success or love before the external evidence appears. By embodying the feeling of your wish fulfilled, you are aligning with the energy of your desire, and this energy will begin to attract the circumstances that match it. The feeling of the wish fulfilled is not just a mental exercise, it is a deep emotional experience. It is the internal state of joy, peace, and certainty that comes from knowing that what you desire is already yours. When you feel as though you already possess what you seek, you radiate a magnetic energy that draws people and opportunities to you. This is the law in action. The universe does not respond to your words or your actions alone. It responds to the energy you are emitting. When you are in alignment with your desires, you naturally attract the people, circumstances, and opportunities that are in harmony with that energy. At first, this may feel unnatural or difficult, especially if you are used to living in a state of lack or wanting. But the key is to persist. The more you practice assuming the feeling of your wish fulfilled, the more natural it becomes. Over time, this assumed state of being becomes your default mode of operation. You no longer have to consciously remind yourself to act as if. It becomes second nature. You begin to live in a state of expectation, knowing that what you desire is already on its way. One of the most powerful aspects of assuming the feeling of the wish fulfilled is that it eliminates the need for forceful effort. Many people spend their lives struggling to make things happen, forcing circumstances to align with their desires. But when you assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled, you are no longer forcing anything. You are simply allowing your life to unfold in alignment with your assumed state. This is the essence of effortless manifestation. You are not striving for something outside of yourself. You are allowing it to come to you naturally because you are already living as though it is yours. This principle extends to every area of your life. Whether you are seeking financial abundance, love, success, or happiness, the same law applies. You must first assume the feeling of having already achieved what you desire. Once you do, you will find that the universe responds by rearranging itself to bring that assumption into physical form. Your life will shift in ways that may seem almost miraculous. But they are not miracles, they are simply the natural result of living in the assumption that you are already the person you desire to be. The power of assumption is not just a passive waiting game. It is an active practice of self-awareness and self-empowerment. By consciously choosing to live in the assumption of your desired reality, you are taking control of your life and stepping into your full potential. The person you desire to be already exists within you. The only thing standing between you and that person is your willingness to assume the feeling of that reality, to believe in it, and to act as if it is already true. So, as you move through your day, remember that the key to transforming your life is not in waiting for the world to change, but in living as though it has already done so. By assuming the feeling of your wish fulfilled, you are stepping into the role of the person you wish to become, and in doing so you will create the reality you desire. The power of assumption is not a mere philosophical concept. It is a fundamental law of existence. It shapes not only the events in our lives, but also the way we perceive reality itself. What you believe to be true about yourself, your circumstances, and your place in the world directly influences the world around you. The law of assumption states that the world you see is simply a reflection of the assumptions you carry within your mind. These assumptions are like a blueprint that your life follows, and they dictate the course of events, interactions, and experiences you encounter. The more firmly you hold an assumption, the more it becomes ingrained in your reality. When you assume something, you are not just thinking about it on a surface level, you are deeply believing in its truth. This belief shapes your perception and directs your actions. Your assumptions about yourself, the world, and others are the lenses through which you interpret everything that happens. It is through these lenses that you create your reality. This process occurs not just consciously, but unconsciously as well. Many of the assumptions we hold are formed over time through our upbringing, experiences, and the environment around us. They become so ingrained in our thinking that we often don't realize how much they influence our lives. Take, for example, the assumption of self-worth. If you hold the belief that you are unworthy of love or success, this assumption will color every interaction and decision you make. You may unconsciously push away opportunities, fail to stand up for yourself, or settle for less than you deserve, simply because your assumption about your worth is so deeply embedded in your psyche. Conversely, if you assume that you are worthy of love, success, and abundance, your actions will align with this belief. You will attract people, situations, and opportunities that match your assumption of worth. The law of assumption dictates that your reality will always reflect your inner beliefs, whether they are empowering or limiting. This is the basis of the power of assumption. You are constantly creating your reality based on what you believe to be true. When you assume something to be true, you begin to see evidence of it everywhere. The universe doesn't question your assumptions, it simply brings them to fruition. If you assume that you are a confident person, you will begin to act with confidence. Others will respond to you with respect and admiration, confirming your assumption. If you assume that opportunities come easily to you, you will start to notice doors opening in unexpected ways. The key is that you don't have to wait for the external world to prove anything to you first. You must first assume that what you desire is already true, and then the world will mirror that assumption. The power of assumption also works with relationships. If you assume that people are kind, trustworthy, and loving, you will find that your interactions with others tend to reflect this belief. People will treat you with respect and kindness because your assumption about how they should behave has shaped your interactions. On the other hand, if you assume that people are untrustworthy or unfriendly, your experience with others will mirror that assumption. You may find yourself in situations where you feel betrayed or rejected simply because your internal belief about others was guiding your perception. The world does not deliver to you what you wish for. It delivers what you believe to be true. This process extends to every area of life, from financial success to personal happiness. If you assume that wealth is something that is difficult to attain or only available to a select few, your experience will align with that assumption. You may find yourself struggling to make ends meet or missing out on opportunities for financial growth. However, if you assume that abundance is your natural state, You will begin to notice ways in which prosperity flows to you. The key is that your beliefs are shaping your life. The world around you is simply reflecting the inner assumptions you hold about yourself and the world. Many people fail to understand this law because they mistakenly believe that circumstances must change before they can change their beliefs. They believe that they must first see evidence of success, love, or abundance in their lives before they can believe it is possible. But this is a backward way of thinking. The law of assumption teaches that the opposite is true. Once you change your assumptions, the external world will shift to match your new beliefs. This shift may take time, but it is inevitable. The more you consistently assume that something is true, the more your experience will align with that assumption. It is important to realize that the law of assumption is not about forcing things to happen or trying to control the outcome. It is about aligning yourself with the natural flow of life by assuming the feelings, thoughts, and behaviors of the person you want to be. The process is not about trying to make something happen. It is about recognizing that your world is already shaped by your beliefs. By assuming the feeling of your wish fulfilled, you are allowing the natural order of the universe to bring that wish to you. It is not about effort, struggle, or striving. It is about accepting the truth of who you are and what you desire, and allowing that truth to manifest. This understanding of the law of assumption is incredibly empowering. It places you in the driver's seat of your own life. You are no longer at the mercy of external circumstances, waiting for something to change before you can feel happy, successful, or loved. Instead, you realize that everything you need is already within you. The moment you shift your assumptions, the world begins to shift with you. This shift in perception is a powerful tool for transformation. It allows you to stop waiting for life to happen to you and start creating the life you want. The more you practice assuming the feeling of your wish fulfilled, the stronger your beliefs become. You begin to see the world through a different lens. The events that once seemed like coincidences are now seen as manifestations of your beliefs. The people who once seemed distant or unapproachable now show up as sources of support and connection. The opportunities that once seemed unavailable are now right in front of you. This is the magic of the law of assumption. It changes everything. It transforms the way you see yourself, the way you see others, and the way you see the world around you. The law of assumption is a constant, unchanging force. It works for everyone, regardless of background, circumstances, or past experiences. The only requirement is that you must be willing to assume that your desired reality is already true. This is the foundation of all creation. Your assumptions are not just thoughts. They are the building blocks of your reality. What you assume to be true about yourself, your life, and your world will manifest. The power lies in your ability to shape those assumptions and align them with the life you want to create. Living in the end is a concept that transcends mere wishful thinking or positive affirmations. It is a powerful and transformative way of being, one that shifts you from a place of lack and waiting to a place of fulfillment and knowing. When you live in the end, you are no longer focused on the gap between where you are and where you want to be. You are no longer looking for signs, waiting for confirmation, or hoping that things will change. Instead, you are fully immersed in the feeling that your desired reality has already manifested. You live in the assumption that the end result has already occurred, and in doing so, you align yourself with that reality. This shift in perception is not just a mental exercise, but a deep emotional state of being. Living in the end means fully embodying the feelings of having already achieved what you desire. It is the art of acting as if your dreams, goals, and desires have already come to pass. This is where the true power lies. When you stop looking for external evidence to prove that your dreams are achievable and instead begin to act as though they are already true. When you do this, the external world begins to mirror your internal state and the results follow. At the core of this concept is the idea that reality is malleable, shaped by your thoughts, beliefs, and assumptions. The world you experience is not fixed or predetermined. It is a reflection of your inner state. When you shift your internal state to one of already having achieved your desires, The universe has no choice but to align with that state. This is where many people struggle, waiting for something external to change before they can feel good or before they can feel that their desires are possible. But in living in the end, you understand that the external world is simply a reflection of your internal assumptions. Imagine for a moment that you have already achieved everything you desire. Feel the emotions associated with that accomplishment. Whether it is the peace of financial abundance, the joy of a loving relationship, or the satisfaction of a successful career. These emotions are the key. They are the essence of the reality you seek. Once you can truly feel as if you have already attained your goals, your energy shifts. You begin to act, speak, and move through the world as the person who already has what they desire. You no longer wait for circumstances to dictate how you feel. You choose to live in the assumption that everything is already in place. This is the magic of living in the end. When you act from this place, the universe responds in kind. The people around you begin to treat you as if you are already who you believe yourself to be. Opportunities open up, as if by chance, because your energy is now aligned with your desire. You are no longer waiting for the right circumstances to take action. Instead, you take inspired action from a place of confidence, knowing that your desired outcome is already secured. This shift in perception allows you to move forward without fear, doubt, or hesitation. You no longer feel the need to prove anything to anyone, because you already know that your success is inevitable. Living in the end also involves letting go of the need to control the process. Many people get caught up in the how of manifesting their desires. They want to know exactly how things will unfold and when. But when you live in the end, you release the need to control the timing or the method of manifestation. You trust that everything is unfolding as it should. Your job is not to worry about how or when things will manifest. Your job is to stay focused on living as if they have already manifested. This is the essence of faith, trusting that the universe will bring you everything you need at the perfect moment. This doesn't mean you sit idly by waiting for things to fall into your lap. Living in the end requires you to take action aligned with your assumed reality. However, the action you take will come from a place of inspired knowing rather than desperation or fear. When you believe that your desire is already yours, you move through the world with a sense of certainty, and the action you take is infused with that certainty. This is where the concept of inspired action comes into play. Inspired action is not forced or driven by anxiety. It is action that flows naturally from the energy of already having achieved your desire. Another important aspect of living in the end is the practice of gratitude. When you live in the end, you are grateful for everything you have, knowing that more is on its way. Gratitude is a powerful force that shifts your vibration and aligns you with the frequency of abundance. By expressing gratitude for what you already have and for what is already on its way, you open the door for more to flow into your life. Gratitude also reinforces the assumption that what you desire has already manifested. It is the emotional confirmation of your desire. Living in the end also involves an unwavering commitment to your vision, regardless of what appears to be happening in the outside world. Many people are tempted to give up on their dreams when they don't see immediate results. They may look around and think, "It's not happening yet, maybe I'm doing something wrong." But when you live in the end, you understand that the external world is just a reflection of your inner state. If you stay committed to the assumption that your desire has already manifested, the world will eventually catch up to you. Your unwavering belief will become the catalyst for the outer world to shift and align with your vision. Living in the end is also about embracing the feelings associated with your desire. It is not enough to simply think about your goal. You must feel it in your heart and soul. This emotional alignment is what brings your vision into reality. When you fully feel the emotions of success, love, peace, or whatever it is you desire, you are in harmony with that desire. The feeling becomes the fuel that propels you forward. It is not the thought alone that creates your reality, but the combination of thought and feeling. This is where the power lies. When you feel as though you have already achieved your goal, you are operating at the same frequency as that goal, and the universe responds in kind. It is important to note that living in the end is not about denying current circumstances or pretending that challenges don't exist. It is about choosing to see beyond the present moment and to live in the assumption that everything is already as you desire it to be. Your current circumstances may not reflect your desires right now, but that doesn't matter. Living in the end requires you to focus on the end result, to feel as though it has already manifested and to act accordingly. The more you do this, the more your circumstances will shift to reflect your assumed reality. Living in the end also means letting go of attachment to specific outcomes or forms. Often people become attached to the how of their desires manifesting, but when you live in the end, you surrender the need for a specific outcome. The universe knows the best way to bring your desires to you, and your job is to trust the process. By living in the end, you are open to receiving in whatever form the universe chooses to deliver. When you live in the end, you are no longer at the mercy of external events. You have stepped into a state of knowing that your desires are already fulfilled, and this knowing gives you a sense of peace, confidence, and empowerment. You are the creator of your reality, and your internal state is the key to shaping the world around you. You move through life with purpose, certainty, and ease, knowing that the end result is already secured. You are not waiting for life to happen to you. You are making life happen for you. The feeling of the wish fulfilled is one of the most profound and transformative principles in the process of creation. It speaks to the heart of manifesting our desires. When you truly feel that your wish or desire has already been realized, it is as though you are stepping into the vibrational frequency of your desired reality. It is more than just mentally affirming or thinking about your goals. It's about fully embodying the emotions and energy of already having what you desire. The key to bringing anything into your life is not just to think about it or to hope for it. It is to feel it as if it already exists right now in this very moment. This feeling is not a distant dream or a future goal. It is an experience that can be felt in the present moment. The feeling of the wish fulfilled is not something you have to wait for or hope to someday achieve. It is something you can cultivate right now, within yourself. When you focus on how it feels to have your desires fulfilled, you shift your energetic state, and the universe begins to respond accordingly. The feeling of having already achieved what you desire aligns your energy with that of your goal. In essence, you are declaring to the universe that you are already living the life you seek. Most people operate under the belief that they need to wait for external circumstances to change before they can feel good, secure, or successful. They wait for the promotion, the relationship, the perfect health, or the abundance to appear before they allow themselves to feel joy or fulfillment. However, the true power lies in reversing this process. Instead of waiting for something to happen in your external world before you feel happy or successful, you must begin by feeling happy or successful first. The moment you can feel the fulfillment of your wish, you are in perfect alignment with the desired outcome, and it can then manifest in your physical reality. This emotional alignment is not a superficial attempt at positive thinking. It is a deep, authentic feeling that resonates with your core being. It's the feeling of already being the person who has accomplished the goals you've set for yourself. It's the joy of experiencing what you've always desired, even if the external world has yet to reflect it. The moment you start to truly embody that feeling of having already achieved your wish, you begin to move in harmony with it. This emotional state shifts your vibration and signals to the universe that you are ready to receive what you desire. The feeling of the wish fulfilled also allows you to transcend doubt and fear. When you feel as though your wish is already fulfilled, doubt loses its power. Fear can no longer hold you back. The internal shift is so profound that it alters the way you view your present reality. Instead of focusing on the lack or absence of your desires, you focus on the presence and fulfillment of them. You begin to see opportunities and pathways to your desires that you may have previously overlooked, because your energy is aligned with what you want, rather than what you lack. One of the most powerful aspects of the feeling of the wish fulfilled is its ability to attract circumstances, people, and opportunities that match the vibration you are putting out. The law of attraction teaches us that like attracts like. When you feel the fulfillment of your desire, you are vibrating at the frequency of that desire, and the universe responds by bringing people, events, and situations that match that frequency. The more vividly you can imagine and feel your wish fulfilled, the stronger this magnetic force becomes. You draw to you the circumstances that allow your desires to come to fruition. It's important to understand that the feeling of the wish fulfilled is not about forcing yourself to feel happy or positive all the time. It is not about ignoring your current circumstances or pretending that challenges don't exist. It's about allowing yourself to access the emotional state of your desire fulfilled, even if your external world does not yet reflect it. You do this by consciously choosing to focus on the emotions you would feel if your wish were already realized. You tap into the energy of the outcome you desire and carry that energy with you, regardless of what is happening around you. When you consistently focus on the feeling of the wish fulfilled, it becomes easier to maintain a state of trust and confidence. You no longer feel the need to search for evidence that your desires are coming to fruition, because you are already experiencing the emotions of having them. The need to control the outcome diminishes, and you begin to flow with life, knowing that the universe is already aligning everything for you. This feeling of trust and surrender is a key component of the process. When you trust that your desires are already fulfilled, you release the resistance that often keeps them from coming into your life. The feeling of the wish fulfilled is also directly related to your self-concept. Your beliefs about who you are, what you deserve, and what is possible for you will shape the way you experience the fulfillment of your wishes. If you struggle to truly feel the fulfillment of your desire, it may be because your self-image does not fully align with the person who has what you want. This is why it is essential to see yourself as already being the person who has achieved the goal, even if the external circumstances don't yet reflect it. The more you step into that identity and fully embody the feeling of that person, the more your reality begins to conform to it. This shift in self-concept can be incredibly transformative. When you see yourself as already embodying the quality, success, or happiness that you desire, you begin to act in ways that align with that vision. You start making decisions from a place of self-assurance and confidence. Your actions become aligned with the energy of your desires, and the universe responds by providing you with the people, places, and opportunities that match your newly aligned frequency. The feeling of the wish fulfilled thus serves as a catalyst for change, propelling you into the actions and decisions that bring your desires to life. To truly embrace the feeling of the wish fulfilled, it is essential to immerse yourself in the emotions associated with your desires. Visualizing your goal or desire coming to fruition can be a powerful tool for creating this emotional state. When you vividly imagine yourself in the scenario where your wish is fulfilled, pay attention to the emotions you would experience. Feel the excitement, the relief, the joy, or whatever emotions are associated with the success of your desire. As you cultivate these feelings, you begin to align your energetic state with the fulfillment of your desire. The feeling of the wish fulfilled is not a one-time event. It is something that you must practice and nurture consistently. The more you immerse yourself in the emotions of your desires already being realized, the more effortless it becomes to maintain that alignment. Eventually, it becomes second nature, and you begin to live your life from a place of knowing that your desires are already on their way to you. The feeling of the wish fulfilled is the key that unlocks the door to manifestation. When you feel the emotional state of already having your desires, you are no longer waiting for something to change outside of yourself. You are living as though it is already true, and this belief propels you into a reality where your desires come into being. The more deeply you can feel the fulfillment of your wish, the more quickly and powerfully the universe will deliver it to you. The power of persistence and belief is the cornerstone of any successful manifestation process. It is not enough to merely think about what you want. You must persist in your belief that it is already done. Many people start their journey of manifesting their desires with enthusiasm, but they quickly falter when results do not immediately appear. This is where persistence comes in, maintaining unwavering faith in the process, even when the external world seems to be in opposition to what you are seeking. Belief is not just a thought or a wish, it is a deep, inner knowing. It is a state of being in which you hold the conviction that what you desire is already on its way to you, no matter how long it takes. The true power of belief lies not in hoping for the best outcome, but in having the absolute confidence that what you seek is inevitable. Belief aligns your energy with your desires and serves a magnet, drawing to you the necessary circumstances and opportunities. When you persist in believing, even when there is no immediate evidence, you begin to move in harmony with the universe, trusting that everything is unfolding as it should. Often, belief is tested by time. Manifestation is not always an instant process. It requires patience, trust, and the strength to remain steadfast in your conviction that your desires are already in motion. The challenge lies in not allowing doubt to creep in during the waiting period. When you persist in your belief, you create a strong vibrational frequency that keeps you aligned with your desires. Each moment of doubt you entertain is a moment that weakens the strength of your belief. Therefore, it is essential to consciously choose to stay rooted in the belief that your manifestation is coming, no matter the delay. Persistence requires a sense of inner security. It means standing firm in your desires and refusing to allow the world around you to dictate your worth or the timing of your dreams. In the face of apparent setbacks or slow progress, persistence keeps you focused on the end goal. It is the determination to keep moving forward even when the path ahead seems unclear or uncertain. This persistent belief does not falter when challenges arise, because it is anchored in knowing that these challenges are not roadblocks, but stepping stones toward your ultimate success. The practice of persistent belief can be cultivated through repetition and commitment. Every time you affirm your desires, visualize the outcome, or act in alignment with your goals, you are reinforcing your belief and sending a clear signal to the universe that you are ready to receive. Repetition strengthens your connection to the desire and makes it feel more real. The more you persist in thinking, feeling, and acting as though your desire is already fulfilled, the more the universe rearranges itself to bring it into your experience. One of the most powerful aspects of belief is that it must be persistent even when the physical evidence seems to be lacking. This is where many people give up. They see no immediate results and therefore lose faith in the process. However, the truth is that the physical world often takes time to catch up with the internal shifts that are taking place. The process of manifestation is not an instant one. It involves energetic shifts, changes in perception, and realignment of your beliefs and actions. The external world is merely a reflection of your inner state, and sometimes it needs time to mirror the changes you are making internally. Persistence is essential during this period of transformation. It is during the waiting phase that your belief is tested, and it is in this moment that your faith must remain unshaken. Another important element of belief is self-confidence. To believe in your desires, you must first believe in yourself. The belief that you are worthy of receiving your desires is crucial to the manifestation process. Many people struggle with the idea of deserving success or happiness, and this doubt can block their ability to manifest. Belief is directly tied to self-worth. When you believe that you are worthy of receiving what you desire, you send out a powerful vibration that aligns with the fulfillment of your wishes. On the other hand, if you harbor feelings of unworthiness or doubt, you unknowingly block the very things you want to manifest. Persistent belief is not just about believing that your desires will come. It is about having an unwavering conviction in your own ability to bring them into existence. The persistent belief also requires letting go of attachment to the outcome. This may seem counterintuitive, but the key is to persist in your belief without obsessing over the how or when of your manifestation. Belief is about knowing that your desires are already on their way, but it is not about controlling how or when they will arrive. When you persist in your belief, you allow the universe the space to bring your desires in the most perfect and harmonious way. Trusting the process means surrendering the need for immediate results or answers. When you can do this, you open yourself up to receiving your desires in ways that you may not have expected, but that are far more aligned with your highest good. Persistence also means acting in alignment with your desires, even when there is no visible evidence that they are coming. This is where faith becomes a powerful force. You may not see the immediate changes in your external world, but you must act as though your manifestation is already happening. This could mean taking inspired actions, making decisions that align with your desires, and continuing to affirm that your wish is already fulfilled. Even if nothing seems to change on the surface, the act of persistent belief and aligned action sends a message to the universe that you are committed to your desires. The universe responds to the energy you put out, and the more you persist, the more the circumstances and opportunities will begin to shift in your favor. Persistence in belief also involves staying emotionally connected to your desires. Manifestation is not just a mental process, it is a deeply emotional one as well. The more emotionally connected you are to your desire, the stronger your belief will become. If you persist in believing that your desires are already fulfilled, you will feel the emotions associated with having them. This emotional connection creates a powerful magnetic force that draws your desires closer to you. The emotions you feel about your desires will always be the driving force behind their manifestation. And the more persistent you are in feeling those emotions, the more powerful your belief becomes. Over time, persistent belief becomes second nature. It becomes part of your way of being. It is no longer a struggle to maintain your belief, because it is ingrained in your consciousness. The more you persist, the more the universe begins to align with your energy, and the faster your desires manifest. What starts as a conscious effort becomes an effortless state of being. Persistence in belief is the key to unlocking the full potential of manifestation. It is the unwavering faith that, no matter what, your desires are on their way, and that they are as good as yours already.